Okay, 8/9. In order to change it to a decimal, we would set up our division house. 8 makes it inside the house. 9 gets stuck outside. 9 doesn't go into 8, but we can put up a decimal and some zeros. All right, 9 goes into 80. Let's see, 8 times. 8 times 9 is 72. And when I subtract, 80 minus 72 is 8. And so when I put up a zero and bring it down, you start to realize that this is going to keep on happening over and over and over again. I'm just going to keep on getting 8 and bringing down a 0. So this obviously is going to repeat. So we would write it as 0.8 with a bar over the 8. Part B, we just read it out loud. -2 and 2/100ths, not thousandths, not tenths, hundredths, because it's 2 places after the decimal. And this can simplify, so we still have -2, but instead of 2 over 100, we have 1 over 50. All right, C was definitely the trickiest one, so I've left myself some room here. I'm going to call this X. I'm going to write it as 0.15 repeating, and be really careful because some of you said that this was the same thing as 0.151515, and that's not what this bar says. The bar is just over the 5, not over both of them. So now what do? I count how many digits are repeating, and in this case it's just the 5. It's just one digit that's repeating. So that means I'm going to multiply it by 10 to the power of 1, so just 10. When I do that, my X is going to move that decimal over one time because that's what happens when you multiply by 10. So instead of 0.15555, I'm now going to have 1.5555 and on and on and on. Okay, at this point, I'm going to just subtract these two equations. 10x minus an x is 9x. And this is where the fun happens. All these 5's go away all the way up until this point here because this is what I'm left with. 1.5 minus 0.1 is 1.4. And so I'm going to solve for x. It's my river. I divide by 9. And let's see, that's x is equal to 1.4 over 9, but you can't have a fraction with a decimal in it. So what do? We just bump this decimal over once, which means we need to bump this decimal over once, and we have to put a 0 here. So I wind up with 14/90ths, which can be simplified just by 2. That's all that they have in common. So when I do that, 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 90 divided by 2 is 45. And so my answer here would have been 7/45. And this is my favorite part when I actually look at the calculator and prove that I'm right, because this is kind of a difficult task. So let's just take this fraction, 7/45, and use our calculator to tell us what that would be in decimal form. And guess what it would be? 0.15 repeating just like this. If you're wondering what the 6 is doing there, it's just because the calculator is rounding it at the end, so it would round up, but it's the exact same thing.